Hey, what's up, guys? This is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I'm here with our DraftKings NBA video for Monday, March 14th. Now, rather than do a video with a whole bunch of expensive options in it today, the way the slate breaks down, it kind of looks to me like one of those slates where the most important thing is going to be getting those glue guys right, those guys in like the $4,000 to $5,000 range that can really do some damage for you and give you a big score at a low price. So there are four guys that I'm looking at that fall into that category. And I figured those are going to be the four guys I want to talk about today. So let's call up the slideshow. And this way we can talk about those four guys that make our list today. There we go. The four guys that make our list are Shelvin Mack at 4,800, Lance Stevenson at 5,500, Gorgie Dieng at 5,800, and Jonas Valanciunas at 5,300. Now, the first guy we're going to talk about is Mack. He is in a low total game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but remember, the Cavaliers' point guard defense has been horrendous this year. Now, Mack's minutes seem to be secure, and I think that part of the reason why they're so secure is because we know how bad the Utah point guard situation has been. You know, Raul Neto and, Trey Burke are not really getting it done. So Mack has slowly built it up to the point where he's playing a little bit over 30 minutes over the course of the last 6 games he's played. Now, the thing that I really like is his price is still pretty cheap, even though it has come up, and he has gone over 5.5x or better in 5 of those 6 games. He's put up a couple games in the mid to high 30s already, so it's not like we don't think he can pay off 5.5 to 6.5 times salary in this one. And again, I think it's one of the better matchups of the lower priced point guards on the day. So I am going to have a lot of exposure again here to Shelvin Mack. The next guy we're going to talk about is going to be Lance Stevenson. He's a big underdog in a game with a 210 total against the Houston Rockets. Now, we know Conley and Chalmers are probably both likely out again here today, and Lance has played a little bit of point guard with, those two guys out. He's also seen his minutes rise like 27, 36, 27 in the last couple games, and he has 33 or more fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. Now, I don't like the fact that the price is up to 5,500. I think it kind of saps some of the upside. We had been getting 30 to 35 fantasy points out of him, which was good enough for, basically like I think 10 or 11x value and 7 or 8x value in his last 2 games. If he repeats what he did last game, he's probably still only going to give us about a 6 times value here. But I do think a 6 times value is definitely within the realm of possibilities for Lance Stevenson tonight. 5x value for him here would be about 27.5, and I think that that's a pretty solid number that you can expect him to see. With upside into the 30s, which would give him, close to the 6x value that we're looking for out of him. The next guy I want to talk about is, Gorgie Dieng, 5,800, huge 219-point total versus the Phoenix Suns here. And Phoenix plays very fast, and they're also not very good on the defensive end, so it is a good matchup here for him. Phoenix has that double big man set that they run, and if they're going to be running the double big man set with all the big guys hurt from Minnesota, you're going to see a lot of Karl Anthony Towns and Dieng on the floor together. In the last 3 games, he has played 29 or more minutes. He's had a minimum of 33 fantasy points in each one of those. So if I expect to see him get a lot of minutes here today, I do expect him to be up towards the ceiling in fantasy points. If he can get us, 29 fantasy points, that would be 5x out of him. If he can get us about 34, that would be 6x. And as we said, in the last 3 games that he's played 29 or more minutes, which we think he'll be needed to do today to, contend with the double big man set, he's gotten at least 33 or more fantasy points. So he's given us right around that 6x value. It seems to me like he's just a little bit too cheap today, especially for a game with a 219 total and a spread of only like 1 to 1.5, depending where you look at it. The last guy I want to talk about is Jonas Valanciunas. I feel like this guy gets very disrespected, and he's put up some pretty good numbers. His team is a 9-point favorite today in a game with a 205 total against the Chicago Bulls. And the Bulls have struggled against big men all year, and it'll probably be an even bigger struggle for him here without Pau Gasol. Now, Valanciunas has scored 33 or more fantasy points in 3 of his last 5 games, and he should be able to dominate the boards against the smaller forwards that the Bulls are going to run out there. Without Pau Gasol, you're basically looking at a rotation of guys like Gibson, Portis, and Mirotic playing the center spot for Chicago, which leads me to believe that Toronto should be able to control the boards and do pretty well in this game here. And that's going to wrap it up for the guys that we're looking at as some of our glue guys here today on Monday for, our NBA DFS action. I do think you want to try to have some exposure to that Phoenix game. Again, Phoenix and Minnesota, two fast-paced teams. You got guys, using the guys that we talked about here today, you're going to be able to fit in some of the guys like a Ricky Rubio or a Karl Anthony Towns. Maybe if you look on the other side of that game, guys like Devin Booker and Brandon Knight, who are both in good spots. Alex Len, who, put up another monster game the other day. So there are a lot of guys here that I think we want to look at. And in order for us to, have enough money to put a bunch of those guys into our lineups, we are going to need some of these salary savers. So these are the guys here that I think could definitely give us a safe, 5.5 to 6.5x and, be able to help us get that roster that ends up in the 300 to 350 range and wins us some money tonight. So thank you guys for joining us over here at rotocurve.com. And as always, stay classy, DFS.